Hey everyone, welcome back to Issa's Valley. I'm Issa. If you are new here, welcome. If you are old here, welcome back. I love seeing you guys. So Emily's Witchcraft and Tarot has been participating in this hashtag that I thought was a really good one. So it's hashtag 13 tarot questions. And it's tarot readers like myself that are going through and answering different questions about tarot, about our styles, about what's involved. So let's just jump into it. So the first question, what is tarot to me? Well, I'll be really honest. Tarot is a tool. It's a communication tool. It's what we use in order to have conversation, connect with spirit, whether that is our higher self, divine, a deity, an ancestor, land spirits, elemental spirits. It's all about conversation for me when we talk about tarot. And so that's how I use it, is a conversation piece, because that's what we do. We're asking it questions, we're getting answers, and then we're diving into those to get more information, to get enlightenment from that. And there's all kinds of different ways that I use tarot, but there's a lot of questions that will go into that as well. So number 2, do you read for yourself or others? When I started my journey, it was about reading for myself. When I got tarot, it was getting the deck, and I just started asking questions, having conversation, connecting with my higher self through that, and connecting unknowingly to my deity, the Morrigan, through that. So that's kind of how I started. I did that for a while. I did not learn the way that other people tell you to learn. I did not memorize my cards or anything like that. I actually started with this deck, which is the Dreams of Gaia. It has amazing artwork in it. It's one of the things I loved. It was very elemental based versus the Rider-Waite system. I am not a Rider-Waite person. I do not own that deck. I will not own that deck. It's just not my style. So that's how I started. I got ideas from other people's spreads, and I developed my own because I had specific questions. I didn't want just general stuff, and I was using it for communication, for a conversation. So after a while, I started doing free readings for people, just to kind of test my skills, because I knew what it was for me, but I wanted to see what it was reading for others. And then over the years, it's transitioned into, I do a lot of readings for others. I do readings for those that I'm mentor, guiding, and counseling through their spiritual growth. I do readings just for general public. I have special readings that I do in December that's all about the wheel of the year and going through every month that is coming in the next year. So I do a variety of readings, and it really depends on the question and what the client needs and what they're trying to understand. Tarot is a really versatile tool. You can use it for all kinds of things, like shadow work, for helping to divine possibilities of future, see a situation with better clarity, to see what's hidden that we're not consciously looking at, but we'll get into that. Okay, question number 3. How frequently do you read tarot? Every day. I read tarot every day. I read for clients, but I also read for myself. And so there's a couple of things that I love doing, and I will show them to you real quick. So in the morning, I really like to, see what energy is at the forefront. So I'll be like, what energy is at my forefront today? What energy is at my forefront today? Abundance and masculine and feminine. So this is very much a duality. And it's a duality I've been working in. And I'm actually in the middle of writing a guided journal for this one. So it's not really surprising. And then abundance. And that's what I'm feeling right now. I've had some really great opportunities recently. I'm able to move my writing into some different areas. So I'm super feeling abundance right now. So that's the energy surrounded for today. Really need to sit in my abundance, and I need to work on my book. And an action. So I like to ask, what action should I focus on today? What is an action I should focus on? Honey, talking with sweetness, understanding the duality there, that, you know, a bee is both something that brings us something sweet, but also has a bit of a sting to it, blessings and curses. So really embracing that, but sweetness of voice, and considering I'm doing writing and stuff today, it really fits. So that's something that I like to do in the mornings and stuff. If I am working on a project, or if I am creating a spell, or I need a ritual or something like that, I will use my cards for that. I'm the type of person that I'm going to ask my tarot, you know, where am I failing? Because if I'm asking it where I'm failing and it shows me where I'm failing, then I know that that is a weak point that I need to focus on. And then I'll even go deeper, you know, well, how can I work this better? How can I do this better? So I use tarot often to help me with focuses, to help shine a light on the things that are hidden, that I'm not seeing clearly. And I use it for all other different purposes, but we'll get to that at the very end. Okay, number 4. What types of readings do you do? Okay, again, this kind of goes into that. I don't have like a set thing that I always do. I don't have a set spread. My path spread is the only spread that I use that is a set thing. And I primarily use it for clients, but I also use it for myself. It's generally, you know, during moon cycles. So at new moon, I'll do a path read for myself. But I don't have any set kind of a spread that I use. It depends on the question. It depends on what needs to be known, or it depends on if I'm asking them to tell a story. And like I said, at the end, I'll go through all of these different spreads. I do a variety of different types of readings. For my clients, I have several options for their readings. They can do a digital reading, which is where, you know, if they don't have time to schedule and have a set time and don't want to have a voice conversation, I've got a lot of introverts. So they'll order a digital reading and they'll ask their question or tell a little bit about the situation. I personally like as little information as possible when I read for somebody. You know, just give me the questions, give me, you know, the base of what you're looking for, what you're trying to find or understand, or if you just want divine and deity to, you know, give you whatever it is that you need to hear at that moment. But they submit that. I do the reading, I do pictures, I write it all out for them, and then I send it back to them, and then I give them an opportunity to have discussion with me, whether it be via email or if they want to chat, to go through any details they need clarification on, to go deeper into any sections that they need to. It just really gives them an opportunity to get the reading that they want, but without having that set contact that's involved when you're doing a live reading. I also, in my spiritual services area, I offer a live reading that's usually done by voice or by chat, and where they can see what's going on, they can see the cards, we have discussion throughout. If they have questions, then we can just immediately dive deeper into a card. So there'll be times where I'm just going to randomly pull out some cards, which is not my normal, but this is just an example. Say we get this, you know, devil in the choice, kindness of heart, new thoughts. Well, what's the devil in the choice? So at that point, we would go deeper into devil of the choice and draw out cards. You know, what is this choice that's in the reading? What do we need to do? What aspects are there? I don't do simple readings. I'm the type of person, my whole work is in transformation. It's in growth, movement, that type of thing. And so what I've found over the years, simple readings are great as long as you want to stay on the surface, but that's not what people want. We want to go deep. We want to try and clarify as much as we can. We want to see as much of the picture as we can possibly see in order to make the right decisions and choices for ourselves. So, yeah, I do a variety of different kinds of readings for clients and for myself. It just really depends on what's needed, what the question is, what the situation is, and then how deep we have to go. I mean, somebody will ask me a simple question. You'll see her review on my website. But she asked me a simple question, but it wasn't a simple question. There was a lot of layers and depth in that. And so it ended up being like 5 different readings in this one reading. And that's okay. It's a lot of information to take in, but it really helped her get super clarity on what needed to be done and what next choices she was going to make. Question number 5, offering readings. Okay, I think I just covered that. I have several different readings that I offer over on my website. I offer the digital reading. I offer the live reading. I have a seasons reading, which goes through your next 3 months and tells you all the energies around there, questions to be asking, things to be aware of, and actions to consider during each month. I also do an astrological reading, which is half tarot, half astrology, but it's a different kind of astrology. If you don't know my take on astrology, over in my witch's journal, over on my website in the astrology section, it kind of details out. But if we're talking planetary energies, it has to be real. And so it has to be the real position of the planet right then and there. And so those are the things that I take into account. Those are a lot more in depth. It requires a lot of different tools when I do those. But it's taking your astrology to the next level and getting some detailed information at that moment in time. I also have different readings at different times of the year. So around November, December, I open up and do Wheel of Time readings, which is the big year reading. And then through that, I have people that do those readings and come back to me throughout the year. Sometimes just to ask questions about different months that they're in. They'll ask about some clarity. Maybe they need a little bit more clarity on something. Or a lot of times it's just them telling me how their year is going, how it's all aligning, how they're using it, which is really interesting. I love how people take that reading and use it in different ways for themselves throughout the year. So yeah, I do a lot of different kind of readings. It really just kind of depends, again, on what the person needs, what they're wanting, what they're trying to uncover there. How I classify myself as a reader. Okay, so I think more of not how I classify myself, but what kind of reader I am. I very much am a channeler. I channel when I read. The cards are a physical focus. Each card has very specific meanings, especially as we go through developing relationship with the deck, and then dependent on what energy is bound with that deck. So this deck here belongs to the Morrigan. When I use it, it is her energy, her lessons. It's her deck. This one is Kari's, so it's very much him being channeled during that. This one, the Seasons of the Witch, the Samhain, this belongs to Ancestors. It's a great ancestor deck. I will have all my decks linked down below, so you can go and check out the different ones that I'm showing you here today. It's really different when I read because the cards help give physical focus for the client and for myself, but I'm also hearing the story. They're telling me the words. And so it makes it really interesting because there are times where they will say something and it doesn't make sense to me, but as soon as I tell the client, they're like, oh my God, I didn't even tell you that. I didn't even mention it. But this has been such a huge thing. And there are always confirmations like that between spirit and the client. Very much me being the messenger. I'm just that in-between messenger person for them. The message is for them. When I read tarot, I just read what the guide is telling me to say. I am telling them what I am channeling and what is being shown. In our discussion during it, when we're talking about it, when they're, it's me and the client back and forth one-on-one, that's where all my other skills come in. It's where I help them with discernment. It's where I help them with some different clarity using different aspects like psychology, understanding the human experience, understanding of the occult, understanding of the spirit world, understanding, all these different pieces allow me to help coach the client through, the reading itself to give a little bit different clarity. But the reading itself, it's a channeled reading. So I guess that would be what kind of reader I am. What do I ask the tarot? I ask the tarot anything. I cannot think of anything that I don't ask the tarot. It doesn't mean that I use it all the time for everything. That's way too much, and I don't need that kind of thing. And I have other divinatory connections that I use. When it comes to me personally, not my clients, but when it comes to me, I ask the tarot all kinds of things. I use it in all kinds of different ways. I use it in my magical craft. I use it in my spiritualism. I use it when getting stories and communicating with divine or spirit or, whatever it is that I'm working on. Tarot is a fantastic tool for communication. What do I never ask the tarot? I don't have anything that I never ask the tarot. Like I said, I'm the type of person, my goddess will smack me down if I'm not paying attention, if I'm not listening, if I keep doing bad things. And my bad things are like breaking boundaries. That's usually what she harps on me about. I don't have a problem asking my tarot, where am I failing? What am I missing? What have I messed up here? Because by asking those things, everybody's like, oh, don't be negative with the tarot. Don't tell negative things. I don't choose the message. The message is what it is. But for me personally, I want to know my blind side as well as what's right in front of me. Because that blind side, that's what's going to hit me. That's what's going to get me in trouble later. That's what's going to just, be the thing that takes me out. So I want to know about it. I want to know about that. I want to know where I'm failing so I know where I need to focus on improving. I'm all about growth. I'm all about transformation. Next question. Who am I speaking with when I consult the tarot? Depends on what I'm doing the tarot for. If it's me, it's going to be the Morrigan. It's going to be Kari. It's going to be ancestors. It's going to be land spirit. It's going to be possibly one of my servitor spirits. It's going to be Gaia. It really depends on what I'm reading for. But I am heavy in spirit and liminal work. So I have a very unique connection there when it comes to talking with and communicating with divine deities, spirits, ancestors, spirit, things that have passed that aren't part of this physical world, but they belong in the spirit world. So that is mainly what I'm connecting to. I think a part of my higher self is part of that, of what I'm connecting to, in a very different way than what other people talk about the higher self, in my experience for me. Next question. What other knowledge I apply to readings? I think I kind of covered that. I don't apply it to the reading itself. The reading needs to stand on its own. It's a channeled message. It does me no good to question what they're saying because, like I said, there have been times where my clients ask a question, it gives an answer, and there's either a part of that answer or a card in that answer that I really don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get why it's there. But when I tell the client, they know exactly what's going on. They know exactly why it's there. And then they give me that information and we go deeper into it if we need to. So if I second guess the words that they're giving me through the channel and what's in front of me, then I'm going to mislead my client. I can't do that. It's not my place. I am a messenger in this. So the reading itself, I don't mess with. It's in the conversation that we have after the reading, helping them understand, helping them figure out how to apply it, and going through different choices and decisions that need to be made with it. That's where my other knowledge comes in. Next question. Tarot is the book of life. Where I see it, where do I see it in life? They say where I see it in life, but I think it's where do I see it in life. Every card has an aspect of life. It has an aspect of our world, our physical world, has an aspect of our spiritual world, has an aspect of our self. So every card is a representation of that aspect, and every deck is different. Every deck, this is the Queen of Pentacles in this deck. But the Queen of Pentacles in my Queen of Earth in this deck has different meanings than this one. Because each deck has their own personality. Each deck has their own aspects to them. And so as I've worked with each deck, they have their own kind of meanings and personalities in there, which is what I love. I love that they all have their own kind of personalities. And I think part of that is due to the deck, but also part of that is due to who is attached to that deck. What energy is heavily attached to that deck, and that's what really comes through. So that's what it brings out. It brings out all these aspects. If you're doing shadow work with it, if you're doing healing with it, if you're, trying to divine a situation, gain hidden knowledge, whatever it is that you're trying to do, it's going to show you all these different aspects because they reside in the cards. Experiences with tarot predictions coming to pass. Okay. So I've got a really cool story that I want to start with. There was a girl about 3 years ago that I did some readings for. She was in a situation and she didn't want to hear what I had to say. She was really attached to this one person. She wanted it to work. The cards were like, this isn't happening. This isn't happening. This isn't for you. There is somebody coming that's going to give you exactly what you want. And, she was fixated on possibly being pregnant and all these things, which she wasn't at the time. And I hadn't heard from her. And then a few months ago, she messaged me to let me know that everything was right. Everything came to pass. The relationship didn't work out. She ended up, in a different space. She met a wonderful man. She had a baby. She shared pictures of the baby. It was really amazing. I love when people come back and tell me their stories. But when it comes to the predictions, the cards never lie. I have never had anything that they didn't show, that didn't come to pass. It may not always be in the way that we hope it to come to pass, but it still comes to pass in its way. When I've read for myself, I keep journals of all my readings and stuff so I can do reflection back and look back over them. When it's clients, like I said, they're always communicating with me and telling me stories and coming back to let me know, oh my God, you won't believe what happened. And it was all in that reading and it happened exactly like that. Or, I cannot believe, this month is just falling everything in the exact way that they laid out. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I channel the readings. It's not my words, it's their words. So that's kind of my experience. But what I always tell people, especially when we're talking about future predictions, we have fated moments. We have fated situations. The cards give us a possibility of future. But future is not static, it's not set. Our choices will determine if that possibility comes to pass. When I do a path reading, and I'll show you that, there is a future section, but that is a future possibility. You have to go through and do all this work, and if you do that, then this will be the outcome. If you choose not to, or you alter and move and do some different things in different places, that outcome will alter as well. Fate isn't that everything's all written. It's the fact that there are all these possibilities. Life is cycles and patterns. We see them repeat over and over and over. It's not just a year. It's not just a month. It's life. Every life has patterns, cycles. By understanding those, you see the parts that can't be changed, your fixed parts, your fated. And then you see all the strings that you can weave and twist and bind to create a different outcome. So when we talk future predictions, we always need to be keeping that in mind. The choices we make, the things that we do are going to, can alter that possible future. Or we can take everything that they've said, do it exactly, and that will be that outcome. How tarot fits in with my magical practice and other forms of divination. Okay, so I use, we've talked about the channeling and stuff. In Kari's deck, there are a lot of bind runes and runes that are also attached to these. Those come into heavy play, and it's not the meanings that are in the book, but they come from my own rune journey. So in my goddess book, I have that. It's also written in my own personal book, but I don't show that. But it goes through and it has my own rune journey, and the stories and the messages specific to that rune given to me by my deity. But it's their stories, their words. I got this by using tarot to let them tell me the story of each rune. So I use that in combination with this one. The Morrigan, I will use Om and stuff as well with that. So, it's different parts like that. But I also use it for spell creation. So, my ancestors are the ones that are big on spell creation. They are really into that. So, I'll ask, okay, either I have a spell I want to do, or I'm asking, what spell should we do? Dependent on that, I'll ask, what are the aspects of the spell we need to do? And so aspects are going to be like energies that need to be included or that are surrounded in this spell. And of course, because this contains the spell that I'm supposed to be doing, but we'll get there. Actions. Any more actions? Okay. So for this one, I've got rooted. That is my foundations. And the things that I'm tied to, my roots. Grief, things that have passed. Third harvest, celebration. It's the celebration of abundance, that feeling of abundance, being grateful. And then voices. So in this, the aspects that they're talking about is very much, I'm going into a specific kind of work soon that really deals in spirit realm and Galder. And these are components to a spell that is going to help strengthen the bridge that we have built together. Actions to consider: silence. Because silence is required for this work. We need to go in. We need to be in a space without distraction, and then releasing the power. So with that, I would take all those components and start breaking it down. I could ask for more specifics in different areas, like rooted. Okay, what specifically rooted? What energy there? What are some materials that are in that? What is there any physical components in that I need to work through? So that's kind of what I mean about going deeper. So I said I would show you some stuff. Those are the questions that they were asking, which like I said, they were good questions. It's been interesting seeing other people's take on it. If you have not gone and seen Emily's Witchcraft and Tarot one, I'm going to put it down in the comments below. But let's show my path spread. So a path spread, if somebody asks me for a path reading, or if they're just wanting the universe to tell whatever they want to tell, I will start with a path spread, just because it shows me all these aspects. So my path right now, core. And I shuffle between each draw. Spiritual, physical. And I'll explain all this when I'm done, of what each means. What's past that will help me. What is right now. What will be. Challenge I am facing. And this challenge can be challenge, the greatest challenge of this path, or just the one I'm facing. What will guide me through? What's hidden from me? Okay, so core energy. This is what resides around everything. It is the core of all of the reading. It's intuition. It's that connection that I have, and the senses. So when we talk intuition, it's not just about our connection to whatever it is, whether it's divine, whether it's our higher self, whatever that connection is. But it's also our senses. So what we feel physically in the world, what we see, what we hear, and then how our mind and our body and our intuition, our emotions, process all that information. That's really all the components that make up our intuition. It's an outside knowing, it's a past knowing, and it's a present feeling. In spiritual knowledge, gaining more knowledge. Like I said, I'm on a different journey at the moment. We're going deeper into a specific type of magic, and so I've been gaining some different knowledge from them for that work. My guides are the ones that teach me more than anything else. I love books, I love reading, I love research, and I do all that. But when it comes down to the actual working, I trust my guides to do that. We've worked long enough together. They have proven, that it works every time, and I have complete trust in them. That is something that has been built over a long period of time. So when I go to do this kind of work, it's them guiding and directing and showing me how to do it. That's where I take my main stuff from. Physical, be precise in my action. I'm going to need to with this. What's going to help me? I know how to juggle the balance. I know about the dualities. I know about the two opposing sides and how to get them to get to a space of cohesiveness and harmony, which is going to be a lot of this work. What is right now, emotion, intellect, keeping my mind and my emotions as one, keeping them in sync, and keeping that precision Flow with the harmony. Keep going with the cycles. Understand the patterns, the cycles. Be aware of them, see them, look through them. Okay, what is future? This future only depends on if I go through these things. It's a potential future, not a set future. So personal enlightenment and better flow, which is exactly what this work is. It's a different kind of connection and channeling type of a work. My biggest challenge, physical transformation and action. That I would be a little confused on. Really good in transformation. What's going to help me is courage of the journey. So with this reading, what I would do, since I have a question on that card, I'll go deeper. What transformation am I going to have an issue with? Okay, so sacred self. Hold the sacred self. Hold the foundations. Hold what I know to be true. Actions of journey. So along this, there may be some foundations, some things that shift and change. Knowledge, understandings are going to grow. But I also need to keep focused on sacred self. Keeping that fire, being very aware of what I am doing. This one is action in the journey, so it's going to take some courage, trust in the bond. So my challenge is the action of transformation. And it's because there's going to be something in there that's going to change perception, change boundaries, change something that's core. This one is, it's a journey that is going to require action. So in transformation, it's an action of transformation. So it's going to require that action, but it's going to take courage because something here is going to be a little shaken. But trust in the bond. Trust in the love and the bond that I've built. Courage of the journey. So that's an example of how that works. When I am connecting to a spirit or a deity, especially lost and forgotten deity, we get that quite often because cultures change, things shift, deities shift. And sometimes they don't survive, especially with what Christianity coming in and taking out the pagan animistic kind of portions of our religious beliefs and our spirituality. We lose deity. So when we're doing communication, when I'm doing communication like this with forgotten deity, Kari was one of those. Very, very little information. So it took a lot of work. But it's asking stories. So, Kari, what story do you want to tell everybody right now? Divine trickery alters the emotions, wisdom, and justice. So, divine trickery is to alter the emotions, to create deeper wisdom, and prevail in justice. You cannot have justice without having wisdom because you have to understand. You have to understand both sides. You have to understand both parties. You have to do that aspect with wisdom, experience, knowledge, not emotion. So when we find what we need to have justice on, We also come back to divine trickery to manipulate and change perspective of emotion. So I don't know what's going on with somebody out there, but you're in a situation where emotion's involved. You need to step out of that emotion. You need to look with some objectivity. Look at the duality that's being presented to you. Look at both sides of whatever this is, whether it's an argument. It feels like an argument. He's saying argument. So, but conflict. Whatever conflict. We'll go with that. Look at both sides objectively. Take your emotions out of this. Look at both sides objectively. Where is the justice here? What is truly justice versus what is revenge or vengeance? And then to get to the point where you need to use divine trickery. Divine trickery is the movement of perception in order to get somebody to see or feel in a different way. And you're moving emotion in this one. So there you go. That's a message from Kari to somebody out there that really, really needs to hear this. When you hear it, you should know. So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of different ways. I'll ask them to tell me stories. I will ask them about themselves, you know, what's sacred to them, what, you know, are their aspects, what are their lessons, what, you know, is their history. There's all kinds of things I go through. And it really just kind of depends on where we're at, what I'm dealing with, and what we need to ask at that time. So I know this was kind of long, but I hope it gave you some ideas. Like I said, everything's going to be linked down below in the different cards that I showed, the different decks that I showed. My books are linked below. On my website is my shop. That's where I have all my readings if you want to book one of those. And I'm on social media if you have questions. Thank you to Emily's Witchcraft and Tarot for putting this out. I know she wasn't the original that put it out. I'm not sure who was, but she's who I follow, and so that's where I found that. Thank you all for listening and being here and going through this journey. I would love to hear your stuff. Are you a reader? If you are, do this and link me somewhere below so I can, you know, either go to your blog or your video, whatever, however format you choose to share this in. I would love to see yours. And that gives other people the opportunity to find it in the comments and see theirs. And what is your take on tarot? Even if you're not a professional reader or not a solid reader, or maybe you're not a reader at all and you have, you know, a different take on tarot or ideas. I would like to have that conversation. I would like to see everybody's stories and their thoughts. And, you know, if you do this, you know, I definitely want to see that. So I wish everybody a really fantastic day. Do something for yourself today. Do something to honor your sacred self and to connect with you. Have a great one.